Okay, so today I want to call your attention to some things in the book. All right, so let's turn our attention to page 28. What's it called? All right, so you want to take a look at the top of the page there. There's some terminology there. A lot of that's just for fun, but the terminology on the right of the page, the upper page, broadsheet and tabloid, the two sizes of newspapers. You will see that again, if not in this class, in the future, so it's good to be familiar with that. Parts of a story at the bottom of the page. This is really good chart here. You'll want to memorize these terms. You will see something like this on the test. And if you look on Moodle, you'll see I have a practice packet for both this and parts of a page on the other page there, the parts of the front page. So this will give you some experience practicing, and there's some blank ones for you to fill in the blanks. And make sure you know what these terms mean as well. So byline, it's an important one. It's the reporter's name. And everyone wants a byline, right? If you're in the newspaper business, you especially want a byline that's with your picture. So byline, very important for you as a reporter. Dateline, sort of misleading there. It's just the location. It used to have more to it in the olden days of newspapers, but now it's just the location of the story, especially if it's written outside the paper's usual coverage area. Okay, lead, the first sentence of the article and the first paragraph of the article for our purposes. So when you write a lead in here, it needs to be one sentence, it needs to be its own paragraph. We'll talk more about that later. Typical spelling, L-E-A-D, is fine for that. Quote, pretty self-explanatory. Attribution. This is the phrase that tells the readers the source of the quote. And we always like to have quote, comma, inside the quote marks, person's name, and then the word said. Said is a very good word that we like in journalism. We don't want to be flowery. We're not writing an essay. We don't need to vary the word choice. We like the word said. So, for instance, if I were to say, I'm hungry, comma, Judy whimpered, well, that adds a different meaning than just the word said. So we don't want to assign meaning by a word choice there. We just like to use the word said. You'll see the word said over and over again in newspapers, and that's fine. That's just the practice. Okay, headline. Another column, photo. Photo credit. It's good to give credit to the person who took the photo. Lift out quote. I'd say more typically called a pull quote, trying to get someone to read the article by pulling out an interesting quote there and putting it in bigger type. Give it an emphasis. And then tagline. People miss this commonly. This is the information at the end that gives some contact information if you want to reach out to the reporter with a complaints or comments or praise for the article. That's the tagline. Moving on to the next page. Have parts of a front page. The flag. The kind of heavily stylized name of the newspaper. Edition. Infographic. This is visual representation of some information. A deck. A deck is a subhead or secondary headline. Olden days, newspapers used to have these stacked in a top of a newspaper front page, so you often couldn't tell which headline went with which article because there are many decks. And that's where they get that term from. Text, the article there. And jump line. Make sure you know this. This is showing where it jumps to, where the article jumps to. And some writers complain, well, they don't read the jump. They don't go to the jump because a lot of reader studies have shown they just simply don't continue reading on to the next portion of the article. Cut line. This is what a caption's commonly referred to, so make sure you know the term cut line. And then on the other side, teaser. Refer. Refer is a good one. This is referring the reader to other articles on the same topic later in the newspaper. So refer, make sure you know that. A wire story. This is from a service like Reuters or Associated Press. So the newspaper would have a subscription to that and be able to use their articles written by reporters who go around the world. So they don't have to send their own reporters around the world. Or it's a syndicated story from another newspaper that the newspaper would be able to use. So it would be on the wire. Mugshot, close-up photo, someone's face. Oftentimes you see this of the president, for instance. They want some sort of picture to direct the reader to the article, because studies have shown people don't read articles unless there's some sort of picture there. So they like to use mugshots, oftentimes in newspapers. Centerpiece, the lead story, gets a lot of play there with visuals and so forth. The index at the bottom, and then a logo. Okay, so make sure you study those and you're familiar with those terms. Moving along to the next page, tools, talent, and temperament. Really good page, and deciding, helping you to think about if you're interested in this profession. At the bottom, really good little blurb there about knowing how to do video, adding tools to your toolbox so you're able to kind of do everything and really appeal to employers. The next page, 31, really neat little test there for you to take to see if you have the talent and temperament to be a reporter. Then on to page 34, you'll see test yourself. I do encourage you to do 1 and 2. Go ahead and do those. Help you prepare. It'll help you prepare for the test, because you'll see something like that. And then go back to page 306 at the end of the book to see how you did on those. Moving to the next chapter. By the way, those earlier pages that I just pointed out, page 28, 29, 30, 31, you want to make sure that you've studied those. That's not part of the assigned reading the syllabus, so I did want to call those to your attention. Page 36 here, really good discussion about objectivity in newspaper writing and news writing. You're going to see on some of your papers that I might write the word editorializing. This is something to avoid. This means you're inserting opinion intentionally or unintentionally into a news article. Okay, so for instance, being really gushy about she's a wonderful cook and she knows how to make wonderfully tasting dishes, something like that. That is, unless you assign that to someone to say, someone actually quoted that, maybe the person herself, that's a little, I don't know, self-congratulatory. You really want to be careful about that, because that is opinion. Unless you're writing restaurant review, you don't want to insert opinion. A less intentional way of doing it, you sometimes see people use the word only. Only 2 people died in the accident. Well, to the people's families, that's a lot of people, right? And then also the word tragic. You really see this thrown around a lot in TV news. Be very careful with this word. For instance, the tragic airline crash claimed the lives of 40 people. Well, what if those 40 people were pedophiles on the way to a pedophile convention? Right? Maybe there was a purpose in their deaths. And that sounds really cynical, I know, but this has been a controversy for some time, that news reporters, anchors, especially TV news anchors, have gotten to be a little too open with their opinion. They try to seem more human. They're doing this in order to be accessible, but it's problematic, because they really lose their objectivity, and a lot of people would say their reputation and viewers' respect for the whole news medium at large. Bottom of page 36. Bottom of page 36 is really good about the worst news story ever written, kind of illustrating the problem of editorializing. And on to page 37. There is some opinion in news, particularly once you get into movie reviews and political commentary. You see at the bottom of that continuum. Of course, the news story itself should be very objective. News analysis, there's going to be some biases of the actual writer of that analysis, but you still want to strive for objectivity. And I wish reporters were striving for objectivity as much as they used to, but that is our goal. So study 36 and 37. These are now. Make sure to go onto the practice sheets I have for practicing the parts of an article and parts of a front page. Those are on Moodle. You want to probably print those out, those pages, and I think that'll be really useful, because you will see some of these on the test. And I will see you next time.